What do they change on Ash? So those are like the major marksman changes. All the other marksmans have been touched on a little bit. I'll just kind of rifle through these quickly. Frost Shot's bonus damage no longer counts as a critical strike. Ash's critical strikes deal 1.1 or 1.0 of her total attack damage instead of 2, but double the effectiveness of Frost Shot. So I'm not, I don't know. I haven't really played Ash since they reworked her at all. It seems like the critical strikes don't really do any bonus damage, is what I'm getting out of here. Like I said, I haven't played her either. But they double the effectiveness of the slow, which now goes up to 25% instead of 30, but that could be a 50% slow if it's critting. That's quite a lot. The Ranger's focus now has no cooldown. Bunch of stuff changed there. Basically, you no longer build passive stacks while Ranger's focus is active. Can no longer be cast at less than 5 stacks. You have to fully stack it. No longer amplifies the slow. Now your slow is amplified by crit. And Volley and Enchanted Crystal Arrow no longer grant you a stack of focus. Volley also automatically critically strikes against champions for the purpose of Frost Shot slow. So at level 18, your Volley will be slowing everyone by 50%. So it seems like she's going to be feeling like she's doing a little less damage as far as if I'm getting this right. But she's going to be slowing by a ridiculous amount of a frustrating margin. 50% slow on the Volley. Okay, that's fun. It's not fun at all. So, although it's almost like mocking if she's doing less damage, but you can never get to her, you just die a slow, painful death. Draven, they changed his attack frame is lower and the missile speed is also lower. Apparently it's going to make it be able to control the axes a little better. I never was really good at Draven or played him that often, so I won't really notice that change. Ezreal kind of had some cool rebalancing with his Q interaction with reducing cooldowns. It's now a 0.5 higher cooldown at all levels, but the cooldown reduction on hit is 0.5 higher as well. Your arcane shift is now 2 seconds longer, but you have that extra cooldown reduction on hit. The thing they're not really touching on here, but you can kind of get it out of here. That 1.5 seconds on hit of your Q is going to make your ultimate be off cooldown a lot more often. So that's going to be interesting. Getting excited now stacks with Jinx. Increases Jinx's total attack speed by 15% and the duration is 6 seconds. So her resets and her overall getting like 1 or 2 kills in a fight just go crazy. Jinx loses 15% total attack speed while using her rocket launcher. Just, I think always. Kalista base attack speed is up a lot. Growth speed's down a bit. Fixed a bug where the Black Spear remained available for purchase throughout the game. I don't like how they're saying all of these things that were just a thing in the game for that long were a bug. It makes them look really incompetent. Oh yeah, Caitlyn's trap was revealing the area around it since release, but that was a bug. So we're just going to fix that bug and call it a bug. No, just say that we took that away. We took that feature away because everyone thought it was a feature. Just like this. The Black Spear remained in the store, except it wouldn't really do anything, I don't think. Martial Poise Jump now only scales with attack speed, not bonus movement speed. It can be negatively affected by attack speed slows, so things like Malphite E and Nasa's Wither, even Frozen Heart, is going to feel super strong against Kalista now. It's going to make her just feel like she can't move, at least if she's attacking, and I guess she's going to be slowed if she's trying to move normally. So screw Kalista, we can actually beat her now. Excellent. No longer scales with the number of bullets with attack speed on Lucian's R, but it now fires more bullets based on ranked. That was kind of an awkward interaction that it scaled with attack speed, so they changed that. Base attack speed on Sivir is down. Her Ricochet cooldown is up, but the cooldown is not when the buff expires. It's on cast, but the buff duration is a little lower, so she still does a ton of damage AoE. Just kind of rebalancing stuff. In the end, it kind of keeps stuff close to the same, but just kind of switches it around. A lot of it just feels like, what do we want to change on Sivir so people that play Sivir are happy with all these other changes? Let's kind of move some numbers around so it looks like we thought about it. That's what some of these changes feel like to me. Removing, Tristan is another champion that got changed. Not too recently, I guess now, but I haven't really played her that much. I think I played her maybe once or twice since that rework, so kind of similar to my Ashe experience. No longer reduces explosive charges cooldown when attacking rapid fire active. With it active, rapid fire's cooldown is no longer reduced when attacking targets marked with explosive charge. The cooldown now scales because it no longer has that ability to reduce it. Rocket Jump's magic damage is up. No longer deals increased damage per stack of explosive charge, but it'll now get you a reset on your jump whenever explosive charge detonates at max stacks on a champion. And the explosive charge now detonates instantly rather than taking time, so you're not able to just get 5 stacks on them, time when it's about to explode, and then get a double jump. You have to actually commit to jumping and then make it explode and then get your jump out. But you can get a reset on your jump basically by not getting a kill. Rocket Jump and Buster Shot now apply explosive charge stacks. So if they're at, they need 1 charge left, you can jump on them, get that charge, and then jump off of them, like bunny hop around them type thing. Kind of cool. And the missile speed on the explosive charge is now lower as well. Twitch, kind of a cool change here. Now resets cooldown on his ambush when an enemy affected by his deadly venomous passive dies. Entering stealth now cancels Twitch's current basic attack command. So I guess so if you start stealthing and then you attack something, or you already had something attacked and you cancel your stealth, that'd be pretty frustrating. Your R duration is now 5 seconds. The mana cost is normalized to 100, and using it during ambushes stealth no longer cancels stealth. At first I was like, wait, you can use your ult and kill people while invisible? But then I thought about it, I was like, that's probably just because if you used your ult but didn't get to fire right away, you'd break stealth, which doesn't make sense. You should only break stealth if you started firing, so makes sense here. I don't know why they reduced the duration on it. It must be something with the way the items scale now. Bit of a cool change for Varus. Now displays Tendril's maximum spread range to Varus and his enemies if it's going to spread to at least 1 champion. Rooted targets, if you get rooted by his ult, now instantly gain 3 stacks of blight. Well, not instantly, but will gain 3 stacks of blight over the duration of it. So you don't have to actually hit them with any like autos or anything. They just gain those 3 stacks, so you can root them and then have your arrow charged up. So when those 3 stacks are on them, proc it with the long range arrow to do a ton of damage. The magic damage of his ult is down, but since you get the blight stacks, it should be feeling better, I think. There's no longer any base true damage on Vayne's silver bolts. However, the percentage of target's maximum health is up quite a lot. And it also has a minimum damage, so your bolts are actually going to be doing minimum damage of 40 at level 1 true damage, going up to 120 minimum, and if that 120 minimum would mean they have 1,000 health. So I mean, I guess if you're shooting someone with less than 1,000 health, but if someone has like say 4,000 health and you're doing 12% of that, you're doing 480 true damage every 3rd auto. Okay, yeah, that doesn't sound very fun. Urgot, his ult no longer gives bonus armor and magic resistance, except now it just reduces all damage. It gives you 30, 40, 50% damage reduction. It kind of reminds me of Kha'Zix when his ult gave him damage reduction, but this one makes sense. Kha'Zix was just broken and stupid. More bug fixes with Azir. He had things that didn't work as intended, and now they're fixed. There's more things that still probably don't work as intended. Maybe they'll be fixed. There's something with Azir in every patch. I've kind of just been skipping it by now. The passive damage on Kindred's passive is now capped against monsters. Scaling capped, but capped. So you no longer can kind of solo Baron at 20 minutes or duo Baron at 20 minutes in 10 seconds, regardless of how the game was going. So that makes sense. That's part of the reason Kindred was feeling like she still does a ton of damage, but her ability to get that super early Baron was frustrating to deal with. Kind of a cool change. LeBlanc's mirror image will now display fake versions of buffs, so that it's not just an instant giveaway if you had a buff when you go into your passive, that which one was you and which one wasn't. They did that same change for Shaco as well, which is fun. Fixed the bug where targets hit by Ruthless Predator wouldn't be stunned if they managed to flash in time. I actually haven't seen that bug, I don't think, but it's fixed. Fixed a bug where the third strike from broken wings wouldn't let you cross terrain if cast a certain way. So I'm going to feel better about all the cues that I've missed going over terrain. I'm just going to assume that was a bug. No way it could have been my fault, and every Riven main in the world probably was already assuming that. Game's broken. I'm perfect. So it actually was a bug. That's funny. This was just like a super old and kind of primitive thing. No longer causes monsters to miss. Yeah, your E on auto would give monsters a chance to miss. It was like it used to do this to champions as well. It was a blind RNG chance. So it was the minion would miss 30% of the time. That actually used to work on champions. So when you were fighting Shaco, it would be like, do I hit or do I not hit? It was kind of like a pseudo dodge because you just debuff that champion to not be able to hit 30% of the time. I don't know what the numbers were back then. They changed that a long time ago when they were taking RNG like that and dodge and stuff out of the game, but they left it on Shaco just for jungle monsters. I mean, jungle monsters probably aren't feeling like they're getting RNG'd or like feeling like the game is all luck because they're just AI. But if that was on champions still, man, would you have heard a lot of problems with it. But it now reduces the attack speed of monsters by up to 30% on hit, which I think will actually be stronger in the end and a lot more predictable, rather than saying Jesus take the wheel if you're like 2 hits from dying and you need to get hit 4 times and just hoping that 30% procs for you. And your hallucination now displays fake buffs, which is cool. It randomizes its facing on spawn because it would always spawn facing the same direction, so it would be easy to tell if you knew what you were looking for. And it displays its remaining lifespan to Shaco only. Fixed the bug where Sign yelling at an airborne minion would deal no damage. I've played a lot of Sign, actually haven't seen that problem. I guess he could make that problem for himself by hitting a max charge Q as well. Attempting to cancel Rolling Thunder's attack no longer causes sluggish behavior. Same thing with Wukong's Q. Haven't really seen that. And the other decoy here, which is just called decoy, Wukong's W will now display fake buffs as well, which is cool. Makes it easier to play mind games with people when it's not just a dead giveaway if they knew you had a buff and that clone doesn't. Especially if a lot of Wukongs do the thing where they stand still and you don't know if that's actually them or a decoy. But if they had buffs, you'd know it was them. And as soon as those buffs disappeared, you would know what was happening. Fix the bug where Wukong would path back to his previous target after using Nimbus Strike. I don't play that much Wukong, so I haven't felt that bug. But I guess a bug fix is a bug fix. So that's awesome. And Zed fixed a bug where quickly casting Living Shadow and Razor Shrieking would cause Zed's Living Shadow to cast instantly instead of using the cast time. So Zed actually had a bug that was helping him. It's been fixed now. Zed's probably going to see more play. A lot of assassins are expected to see more play with how many marksmen are going to be in play. I'm expecting things like, for example, like I was saying earlier, Graves not being able to shoot through targets. Just like when you see a Graves get a big meat shield to stand in front of him type thing. I'm expecting to see stuff like that rather than just going, oh yeah, we need assassins everywhere. But we'll see how it plays out. So that attack damage adjustments that I was talking about earlier, here's the math for it. Okay, you gain negative 10 net attack damage at level 18, except Lucian, who gets 2 more because he's special, and Vayne gets a bunch less because of Silver Bolts. So that's what all the attack damage changes for. You get more early and get less late. So it actually makes them feel like more of a character early because they're not just super dependent on scaling and waiting, and then they do have to have that trade-off later where they lose a little bit of power then, kind of like a loan. I want to be stronger now, but I'll pay you back later type thing. Mana and mana regen adjustments. So a lot of champions have gotten 50 base mana and negative 3 mana scaling. So they lose 1 mana at level 18, but I think my mic just cut out. I don't know. I don't know where it cut out. Basically, more mana early, less mana later by an entire -1. But there's all the champions here. This is one of those things that I was referring to, rather than just kind of memorizing. I was like, what champion got this? And then I'd play against a champion like, he felt like he had a big mana pool. And like there's ones that make sense, like Olaf and Pantheon were pretty dependent on mana pots and whatnot, so makes sense that they'd get that. A lot of mages here, a lot of just like casters in general, like physical caster Varus, physical caster Pantheon type thing. And mana regen. The following champions have had 2.5 base mana regen over 5. A lot of supports have had that happen for them. Um, and I mean, like they're putting Zyra in here. Zyra can be a support, I guess. I've never really had much experience with a good Zyra support, but AP Zyra can do a lot of damage. Zyra's just not really seen that much. All right, this change right here, okay. Grievous wounds. You can get Grievous wounds. Executioner's Calling's back in the game. You can actually get Grievous wounds as a physical champion, except it is now 40% reduced healing instead of 50. And get this, Grievous wounds now only applies to self-healing effects instead of all healing. So if you were frustrated about Soraka bot lane and you had to take an ignite and that was the only time you could all in their AD because you'd be able to lower their healing, you can no longer do that. Soraka was feeling excessively unfun to play against and oppressive, and now they're like, all right, let's take away her only thing that really felt like counterplay. And the argument here is going to be focus Soraka, kill Soraka. All right, that's a really good mechanic. All right, if there's a champion that's doing things that are just really annoying, you know what the best counter to that is? Just kill her. Death is the best CC. I think that's a really poor balancing idea and change, and I think Soraka should be deleted from the game with this change. Screw that champion. Alright, so here's the empowered basic attacks. If the attack itself would fail to hit, the empowered or added on effect with that attack will also fail to hit. It will also consume the charge of it. So say a Nasus Q's a Pantheon shield, it will consume that stack of Q. I'm assuming it'll consume a Sheen charge as well. This will happen if they are blinded by Teemo, because Quinn can no longer blind. If they hit Pantheon's passive, or if they hit Jax's Counter-Strike. There's a lot of things in here, like the things that you might not even think of, like Darius's W, the crippling strike, the slow that comes with it won't be there. Blitzcrank's knock up and Power Fist, it won't be there, and it'll put it on cooldown. Echo's passive. There's some of these things. I know I played Jax against Garen. I was dodging the silence and the damage, and it was making that encounter a lot easier. Jack's first Renekton will probably be a lot easier as well because the W actually used to hit through the dodge and now it shouldn't. However, when I say shouldn't, Nasus's Q was hitting through my dodge on Jack, so that's something that kind of slipped through the system, I'm assuming. But a lot of things here, a lot of attacks, a lot of things I didn't even think of being dodgeable or avoidable now will now be dodgeable and avoidable. But yeah, that's just a gigantic buff to Jax. I can't tell you how much of a just huge buff to Jax that is. And with some of the new itemization, Jax is already feeling really strong, so that's pretty ridiculous. All right, Rift Herald. So the Baron buff pit was kind of just an empty Coliseum, a big circle that nothing really happened in until 20 minutes. The only time I'd ever really see stuff happening in the Baron pit is if a jungler invaded the red side jungle and got caught, and they'd flash into the Baron pit, and everyone would flash in there and have a good old-fashioned level 1 throwdown. That's basically what the Baron pit was used until Baron. But now the Rift Herald spawns there. It spawns at 4 minutes. It spawns every 5 minutes. After 4 minutes, once Baron spawns, it kind of goes away. It despawns at quarter to 20. If it was out of combat, if you're in combat with it, you have 10 seconds to finish it, or it'll despawn no matter what. And then the Baron spawns. The mechanic on it, if you haven't actually seen it in game or a video of it, I'd recommend just going to do that. I'm not going to really explain all of this very much in detail, and even if I did, it's not going to make that much sense to you unless you go and see it for yourself. It's basically a two-person encounter. The thing destroys you early, so you kind of have someone who tanks it and someone. You don't necessarily have to have like a tanky character tanking it and a damage character doing damage to it, because the mechanic is it has an eye that opens. Every time it opens, it'll take 15% of its max health as true damage by anyone that hits them from behind while the eye is open, and then the eye closes. So it can go down really quickly. The person who strikes the last hit gets a buff from it. The buff is a mini Baron buff. It gives you 10% increased damage, 40 movement speed, and enhanced Baron recall. So you can kill it, go back to base really, really quickly, run back to lane quickly with your 40 movement speed, do a ton of damage to towers and champions. Keep in mind that you have that empowered minion wave as well. It's a mini Baron buff minion wave. Your minions will do more damage, it's just your melee minions aren't invincible. Your minions get 40% increased attack speed, 100 extra range on the cannon. They can't fight you because you have 10% increased damage, and they can't fight you in a minion wave because your minion wave is super, super strong, keeping in mind that this minion wave is super strong way earlier than normal because you can get this at 4 minutes. So being ahead top lane and being able to get that buff and contest it is going to be really strong. I actually haven't had many games where anyone's even really remember. I've been guilty of it, remembering that it's actually a thing. But I think it's going to be really interesting once people kind of get it in their heads and remember that it's a thing, just the strategies that it involves. And I'm personally thinking it's just going to be like a really big objective early because the towers right now are made out of paper. You get the Rift Herald. Only one person gets the buff to the minions, but it's kind of like Baron. If you don't ace the team that gets Baron and one person keeps it, they can still do their Baron push with that one person giving the buff to all the minions. That's kind of how this feels. You get the buff on that one person, you group up with that person, you can pretty much take a tower with it, with a single minion wave if you have a few people there, because the towers are very, very weak. So we'll see how that goes. Game pacing changes. Basically, to me right now, the game feels like it's extremely fast. Like it's going a lot faster than it should be. Like the games are ending at like 20 minutes, not surrendering. Like I don't know. Towers are dying really quickly. The snowballing seems to be excessively high, and there's a minion change in here that I kind of will go over, but that's not even in the game yet. Once that gets in the game, the snowballing would be assumed to be even bigger. This is kind of a nicer change, and not a nice change in some ways. Minions spawn 15 seconds faster, jungle minions spawn 15 seconds faster, so um, the game still kind of feels the same. Jungle minions are spawning when the minions are at the same spot walking up to lane, but the game basically gets underway 15 seconds faster, which if you have a load screen bug or if you have a teammate that was AFK or whatnot, they're going to be punished more for that because stuff's happening 15 seconds faster. Ambient gold is now more early, and this is a pretty Care Bear system. However, I feel like once teams start snowballing, it's really hard to come back, even with these Care Bear systems in place. After 12 minutes, the two members of each team with the least gold at any given moment will have an additional 2 gold per 5, increasing by 0.1 per minute. So if you're broke and you're shit tier with your money, or you just didn't make very much money, you can go on welfare now and you gain 2 gold per 5 for sucking at the game. Basically, that's what it's looking like. Or you're a support. I'm assuming the support should always have this going for them because you probably should have the least gold given, I'm assuming, because you're not farming, depending on how the new gold per 5 and the jungle items and everything go. But yes, there is you can apply for welfare in League, and the way you apply is by playing poorly. Basically, the support and the crappiest member of the team. Or it might just end up being the support in the jungle, depending on how gold goes. But if someone's like sucking super bad, like say your top lane forgot that minions give gold and he's gotten 10 CS in 10 minutes, look that, get the bailout program. I don't know how I feel about that, but it's a thing to remember. Kill gold. This is kind of interesting. Bounties, you actually have like something that displays it on your health bar, so that you'll get used to that. Bounties begin occurring after 2 consecutive kills. Bounties increase per additional consecutive kill up to 5 kills, so you can have it up to a 5 bounty. Bounties no longer fully reset on death. They reduce it by 3, so it's possible to have a tier 1 bounty, even though they only start counting at 2. And there's tier rewards for bounties. If you die to tier 5, you go down to a tier 2, so you're still worth a lot of bonus gold when you die. And it's not just snowballing the person who gets the kill. If you die, if you were careless when you got a really big lead, you are going to throw even harder now because you're giving 90 global gold to the enemy team. And that's not 90 split 5 ways. That's 90 to each person on their team. So you're giving 300 gold to the person who killed you, an additional 90 gold to the person who killed you, and then 90 gold to everyone else on their team. So your death is now worth 750 gold rather than being worth 500 gold to the person who killed you. It's still worth 390, so the person who kills you is getting 110 less gold than they would have, but they're giving everyone on their team a care package. And that happens globally. You don't have to be in the proximity of the person who dies. You could be sitting on the spawn pad just kind of like, what do I want to buy? Oh, there's all these new items. Oh, look, I have an extra 90 gold. I can buy this big power spike item. Oh, look, we won the game because that enemy threw. Consecutive assists no longer grant bonus gold. There's no longer assist streaks. This bounty thing is a pretty big change as well.